What if a robot could read every book in a giant library, then start talking like a person? Not because it has a tiny human inside, not because it has feelings, but because it learned the patterns of how people think out loud. That is the basic idea behind artificial intelligence that talks. When you ask an AI a question, it does not open a little drawer labeled "perfect answer." It does something stranger. It looks at your words, breaks them into tiny pieces, and asks, "What should probably come next?" Imagine a classroom full of flashcards. On one card it says, "peanut butter and..." Most people say, "jelly." On another card it says, "the sky is..." Most people say, "blue." Now imagine the student plays this guessing game billions and billions of times. At first, the student is terrible. It guesses weird stuff. The sky is sandwich. Not great. So the teacher says, "Nope, try again." Every wrong guess leaves a tiny mark. Every better guess changes the student a little. Not with feelings, with numbers. Inside an AI model are millions, billions, or even trillions of tiny number dials. These dials are called weights. They decide which patterns matter more. If the AI sees the words "once upon a," one dial might say, "Hey, stories often say time next." If it sees "how do I fix," another dial might say, "This is probably asking for steps." If it sees "explain like I'm 5," another dial says, "use simple words and analogies." Basically, the AI is a giant guesser with a ridiculous amount of practice. But here is the important part. It is not only guessing random words, it learns relationships. It learns that doctor is connected to hospital, that recipe is connected to ingredients, that because usually means an explanation is coming, that a joke has a different shape than a math answer. This is why AI can sound like it is thinking. It has seen so many examples of human language that it starts to copy the shape of human reasoning. Question, clue, step, answer. Now, let's go back to our classroom. The student has played the flashcard game for a long time. It can finish sentences, it can summarize, it can translate. But there is a problem. Sometimes it says something that sounds confident, but is wrong. Like a kid giving a book report on a book they did not actually read. So humans step in. People show the AI better answers. They compare two replies and say, "This one is clearer. This one is safer. This one actually follows the instruction." That is like teaching the student manners. Not just, "Can you talk?" but "Can you be helpful? Can you stay on topic? Can you admit when you do not know?" This extra training does not make AI human, but it helps shape the way it responds to humans. Here is a real-world example. Say you type, "explain gravity like I'm 5." The AI notices the topic, gravity. It notices the style, simple. It notices the audience, beginner. Then it builds an answer one word at a time. It might say, "Gravity is like an invisible pull that keeps your feet on the ground." That sounds natural because the AI has learned that beginners understand invisible pulls better than equations. It has learned that examples help. It has learned that short sentences feel easier. But does that mean the AI understands gravity the way you do? Not exactly. You have felt yourself fall down. You have dropped a toy. You have jumped and landed. You have a body. AI does not. It has words about falling, pictures maybe, data, patterns. But it does not scrape its knee on the playground. That is the big misconception. AI is not a tiny person trapped in a computer, And it is not just copying one sentence from one website. It is more like a giant pattern machine that learned from human examples. Sometimes that pattern machine is amazing. Sometimes it is wrong. Sometimes it sounds smarter than it really is. So the trick is to use AI like a very fast helper, not like an all-knowing wizard. Ask it questions, check important facts, push it to explain. And remember what it is doing underneath. It is reading your words, finding patterns, predicting what response would make sense, then adjusting that response to sound useful, clear, and human. So here is the whole thing in 3 simple sentences. AI learns by practicing on huge piles of examples. It improves by changing tiny number dials when its guesses are wrong. And when it talks like a human, it is not because it has a human brain. It is because it learned the patterns of human language. That is still pretty wild. If this helped make AI feel less mysterious, subscribe for more simple explanations of complicated things.